What's up guys, it's your boy Zaxx here, finally bringing you guys a brand new video. I was kind of sick last week, I still kind of am. If my voice is kind of funny or I'm coughing in the video, please excuse me, but I'm still trying to recover. That's why there was no video last week, because I could barely talk. But today, what's going to happen is I'm going to preview / predict what will happen at Eswc 2016. So I did some kind of research on how the bracket's gonna work and everything, so we're gonna go through that afterwards. I'd usually do this as a post-com to a COD gameplay or something like that, but as you guys might know, if you've seen my past videos, I just can't record COD anymore on the PS4, so I have to wait until the end of my exams so I can buy an Elgato, so I can actually record COD. So let's get straight into it. There's 4 groups. To get out of the groups, you need to win 2 games before you lose 2. There's going to be a number 1 seed and a number 2 seed, depending on if you won 2 games without losing any, or if you did lose 1. And then they're going to go into a single elimination bracket that's going to start at the quarterfinals, so that's going to be the top 8. So let's get straight into it. In Group A, we have Optic, Supremacy, Millennium, and Giants. Optic, as you know, they've won the CWL playoff for Season 1. They won the Crown Melbourne tournament. They're looking really good. Best team in the game, in my opinion, by not I was gonna say by far, but actually they're not the best by far, to be honest. Then Supremacy, they're a French team. They're not that good in my opinion. The French and are really bad this year in my opinion, actually. But they did just buy a CWL league spot off of another French team that's called LDLC to be in Season 2, so that's exciting for them. Then Millennium, as you know, they won the EU CWL Season 1. That might be by far the best European team in my opinion, especially if you look at not just Black Ops 3 but over the course of the last 3 games. It's always been the same group of players that's been dominating Europe. And then we've got Giants. They qualified for Season 2, but they did have to go to the relegation tournament, but they did manage to make it back into the CWL. They are the Spanish team composed of Legend, Methods, Tohor, and Sammy. If you didn't know, Supremacy is composed of Moles, Vortex, Maxi, and Xerox. Sorry for that. And Millennium is composed of Tommy, Judd, Swanee, and Mad Cats. So in this group, it's not going to be hard for me to predict. I'm predicting Optic to win the group, going through in the winners bracket, and Millennium going through via the losers bracket, but still only losing to Optic. I can't see them losing to Supremacy or Giants any day of the week. So instead of wasting time, I'm going to jump straight into Group B, which is Infused, Y6, Hype Games, and Vitality. So 2 English teams and 2 French teams. Infused, they finished tied first with Millennium in the online season of the CWL, but they did only finish 34th at the actual playoff. That is Marky B, Urban, PT, and Zero. Then Y6, I don't know anything about Y6. I just know it's Kiro, Gump, Kirby, and Chucky, and that they're French. Then we've got Hype Games, which is actually an English team now. The organisation is French, but the team is English. It's Zed, Quicker Than You, Nolson, and Brain. And then we've got Vitality, basically the French Optic, to be honest. They've got a load of fans, and that team is Broken, Gotaga, Riskin, and Whalers. Going a bit downhill in my opinion in their careers right now, especially Gotaga, but I think they could pick it up and start and get back and get going again is what I'm trying to say. But in that group, I can see Infused not being really challenged, going through straight away, winning 2 matches and being done. Then Y6 is never going to qualify, in my opinion. And then it's kind of between Hyper Games and Vitality. And normally I'd say that Hyper Games has got this, but the French crowd last year was really supporting Vitality and Millennium, and it seemed like it really did help them. And so I'm backing Vitality to actually qualified as the second team from Group B. So far we've got Optic, Millennium, Infused, and Vitality going through. In Group C now we've got Rise, Killerfish, Splice, and LDLC. So Rise, as you know, they're considered the second best team in the game. They've been Optic's rivals this year. It seems like the finals is always between Optic and Rise. It's always been some really close matches between the two teams, and it's hard to really say, oh, that team's better. It's a really good argument you can have with someone is which team is better, Rise or Optic. If you don't know, that team is composed of Slacked, Classic, Octane, and Looney. Octane, one of the best ARs in COD ever. He's really good. They just lost the CWL playoff final to Optic. That series was 4-3 to Optic. But then we've got Killerfish, which is a German team, but they do have an Austrian player, which is Ramba. Then they've got Shocks, Hasbroken, and Cosmo. I don't know much about them, to be honest, so I'm not going to say anything. Then we've got Splice, which is Bance, who was absolutely mental last year. Or was it the year before? No, it was last year. He was playing under the tag, which was Bancy Castle, yeah. And he was straight dominating. He actually gave Optic a really bad time while they were playing. So that's Bance, Joe, Josh, and Rated. They just finished second in the CWO, so that's a really good team. That's an English team if you did not know. And then the last team we have is LDLC, which is kind of weird because they sold their team and spot to Supremacy, which was the French team with Moles, Vortex, Maxi, and Xerox. But they bought TCM's spot, and so they now have what was TCM's X team. So they've got Bran, Niall, Shane, and Watson. And in this group, it's undeniable for me. Rise is going to go through. Then Killerfish, I'm not expecting anything from them. And then Splice, Josh always seems to clutch up in big tournaments, and Bance was absolutely mental last year. So I'm gonna say that Splice is gonna qualify ahead of LDLC, but I don't think that match will be easy for them. I think that if they do play each other, that's gonna be a really close match as well. So far we have Optic, Millennium, Rise, Splice, Vitality, and Infuse going through. And finally, Group D, we have FaZe, Pulse, Epsilon, and Exertus. FaZe, as you know, they're kind of slacking compared to last year. They're considered like the third best team in the game. They're not quite at Rise or Optic's level right now, and it seems like there's kind of not a big barrier, but there is a barrier in the level between Optic and Rise compared to FaZe. But they're still a really good team. That's Clayster, Enable, Zoomer, and Attach. And then we've got Pulse, which is a French team that just was relegated from the CWL. That's Getsum, Tony J, Logan, and Viziok. Then we've got the English team Epsilon. They've got Moose, Reedy, Scraps, and Sunny B. What's it? I'm just going to quickly look on the esports Codpedia thing. So yeah, that's actually Sunny B. And they just finished 3rd to 4th in the CWL playoff. And then finally we've got Exertus, which is Carbines, Desire, DQV, and Vortex. another English team, and they just got into the CWL via the relegation tournament. And in this group, I've got FaZe going through and Epsilon going through as well. So that's my 8 teams going through to the quarterfinals and making it through to the single elimination bracket. And then in the quarterfinals, I think that every team that went through from the winners bracket is going to play a team that went through from the losers bracket, if that makes sense to you. So as number 1 seeds, I've got OG, FaZe, Rise and Infused, and as second seeds, I've got Vitality, Millennium, Epsilon and Splice. So that basically means OG will play either Vitality, Millennium, Epsilon or Splice, and I hope that they won't be playing Epsilon, because that would just be kind of fucked up. If you could play the team that was in your group, that would just be dumb in my opinion. I've chose the 4 teams that I actually think will go through, and it's actually 2 teams from the first seed and 2 teams from the second seed. I've got Optic Gaming, Rise, Millennium and Epsilon going through. I don't know if Epsilon and Millennium are actually better than FaZe, but you do know that the Americans always not struggle, but are less good when they're in Europe. Sometimes they choke, sometimes they just don't perform. We don't really know why that happens, but we suppose jet lag, but sometimes these teams come quite early to the event, so I don't know if jet lag really is to blame, or maybe it's a crowd, I don't know. But I've got OG, Rise, Millennium and Epsilon going through, and so that's our semi-finalists. And so in that case, I do not know who will face who. I think the 2 best, if it was OG against Millennium and Millennium, OG against Epsilon and Millennium versus Rise, I actually think OG and Millennium would go through. And if it's if Rise is playing what? Wait a second. Basically, I don't know how the bracket's gonna work. I kind of think that OG and Millennium's gonna go through, but I had like a feeling that that wasn't going to work with the bracket for some reason. So if it doesn't work with the bracket, I'm saying that's an OG Rise, but I kind of think it's an OG Millennium, if you get what I mean. But so in the final, that would mean that it would be Optic Gaming versus Rise or Millennium. I'm hoping it's Millennium. I think that a European team versus an American team is always fun to watch, especially in the final. I think the crowd would be absolutely mental if that happens. And I actually think that Millennium, performing on their home turf, Europe, let's say, that's their home turf, they will be pretty good. And as I said, Rise, the American teams in general don't perform as well in Europe, so I can see Millennium actually beating Rise if they have to. And even though I think it would be a close series in both cases, I'm picking Optic Gaming as a winner. I might be kind of biased as a member of the Green Wall, but I don't care. This is my video. So to recap it off, I've got Vitality, Infused, FaZe and Splice making it to top 5 to 8, so winning $2.5 thousand dollars per team. So that's, what is it, 125 6, so that's approximately, no, it's $625 each if I'm not wrong. And plus they the team also gets 700 to 800 CWO points. Then if you're in 4th, so that would be Epsilon in our case, because there's actually a bronze medal match, and I think that Rise would win that, or Millennium would win that, if the bracket works as I want to. I think Epsilon will be 4th, so they'll get $4K dollars, so that's $1,000 each, which is really good. Sorry, I'm kind of having some problems to concentrate on the actual lens on the webcam. So if I'm looking like there or here it's because I'm checking it's recording. If I'm looking here, it's I don't know where to watch, basically. To look, not to watch. So how many CWL points is that? They'd get 900 for the team. Third would get $6,000, so $1,500 each, and 1,100 CWL points. And second place, so in our case, Millennium would get $10,000, so a nice 2.5k each, which is pretty decent if you ask me. Plus 1,500 CWL points, and then the winner, Optic Gaming, will get 20 million. No, what the fuck? What the fuck am I on? $20,000 and 2,500 CWL points. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I'm sorry that I couldn't get I'm sorry I actually couldn't get some gameplay for this video, but you kind of know that it's not my fault. Comment with feedback down below so I can make these videos better for you guys. Subscribe for more COD content, COD esports content. I like actually just talking about this because this is what I actually love about COD. It's the esports scene. Public games are fun, but watching esports is what I particularly enjoy. So subscribe for more what can I call this? Vlogs, previews, reviews, recaps, anything about the lands. I can do that if you guys want me to. But this was your boy Zaxx, and I'll see you next time. Peace.